Heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios. We are presented by Modelo, and in our continuing coverage of college football in the offseason, because the offseason never sleeps, and full-time fan, the Modelo full-time fan, they know no offseason. We have been keeping the football season alive throughout the entire offseason by doing different series, taking a look at Big 12 teams. We've got the Combine later this week as we delve into the NFL draft as it pertains to the Big 12. But we're concluding now our top 5 newcomer series, taking a look at each of the 5 best that we've identified, newcomers at each position, plus some honorable mentions. And now we're at quarterback, last but certainly not least. Modelo fan rule number 31, off-season doesn't mean off. It means research.
Oh, yeah. We are crushing that.
Yes.
As we research these teams inside and out.
All right, so let's take a look at our top 5 newcomers at the quarterback position. James, I'll let you start.
Okay. So 1 through 5, I'll start at number 5. I have Alonzo Barnett III, who transfers to UCF from James Madison.
Quick question. How many of your top 5 played in the college football playoff last year?
1.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry. And you've got him at number 5.
That's
just pointing it out.
That should have been an easy answer.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why you were looking.
I thought way too hard about.
It's like just
really
one.
Was looking for some staggering numbers and data to drop in real time, but it was indeed just 1.
I was trying to figure out if Brendan Sorsby played in the playoff last year that I didn't know about.
No, neither did DJ Lagway.
No, yeah.
All right, I've got Barnett. You're saying I've got him too low?
Yeah.
Okay, I've got him at number 5. He's only about 5'11", which is why UCF was able to nab him in the portal, because nobody else even gave this kid a look. And all he did last year was throw for about 3,000 yards, rush for almost 600, Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year, and looked very capable, even in a blowout loss against Oregon. He's an incredible story of redemption. He tore his ACL. In late 2024, he bounces back, wins Conference Player of the Year, leads JMU to their first conference title at the FBS level. Oh, and Scott Frost is familiar with undersized quarterbacks. Remember Mackenzie Milton? The best quarterback to ever play at UCF, he was listed at 5'11". So I've got him at number 5. All right, number 4. Another one of my sleeper picks, okay? I'm really excited about this guy. Iowa State's Jalen Rayner from Arkansas State. Only about 6 foot, dual threat kid, 3-year starter at Arkansas State. Had 3,300 yards passing last year. Also ran for almost 500 yards. He's dual threat. He's very Rocco Becht-like in that he's a pass-first guy, but he is elusive. And he completed 67% of his passes last year. I felt like that was a massive pull for Iowa State to get one of the best group of 5 quarterbacks in the portal. All right, number 3. I'm going with the Texas native, 6'3", 240-pound DJ Lagway, headed to Baylor from Florida, had a tremendous freshman year, all the hype, all the rage, and then a sophomore slump. But talking to people inside the Gator program, a lot felt like that was because of the coaching staff and everything they were going through with Billy Napier out, John Sumrall in, former 5-star recruit out of Willis High School, set a Texas 6A record with 58 passes as a 58 touchdown passes as a senior in high school. I think he's going to be dynamic for the Baylor Bears this year. All right, number 2. This is where I have Brendan Sorsby, Texas Tech from Cincinnati, Dallas native, great fit, country boy at Cincinnati last year. We know what he did with those 27 touchdowns and just 5 interceptions. But Texas Tech plays a tough schedule. Texas Tech's going to be in the college football playoff conversation. How will Sorsby perform against high-level opponents? Because that's where he struggled at Cincinnati. But a lot of people think it's just because of the lack of a supporting cast. He'll have that in Lubbock. And number 1 at the top is where I put Drew Mestemaker at Oklahoma State. Transfer from North Texas. Backup quarterback in high school. Walk-on for the Mean Green. But he has all the tools. 6'4", 211 pounds, led the country in passing yards last year, had a 600-yard game, set multiple records, led North Texas to a 12-2 season. And I just think the fit coming to Stillwater with Eric Morris, he's going to shine and flourish right away and maybe be the best quarterback, not transfer, just period, in the Big 12 next year.
All right, good list. We have 4 of the 5 the same. The order is a bit different.
Okay.
But basically only one that's on your list that's not on my list. So let me give you my list. At number 5, I've got DJ Lagway here at number 5. And look, I mean, I get everything you just brought up in terms of, the Billy Napier piece and how much was DJ Lagway set up to be successful. But I think it's probably closer to 50-50 being on him and Napier than maybe some people want to acknowledge. Look, I think a change of scenery is perfect. And I think if I were DJ Lagway, aside from the fact that my dad went to Baylor, like the Jake Spavital offense and what Sawyer Robertson just did within it, to me, that is the best recruiting pitch they could have possibly made because I love the fit within Lagway within this offense. The thing, though, is 23 interceptions across 2 seasons. Okay, had 14 interceptions last year to lead the SEC, but 23 interceptions in 2 seasons. That is not good enough. And he just has such an interesting split in his stats between 24 and 25. Just much more explosiveness in 24, 10 yards per attempt with moderate efficiency and turnovers. And then 25, he improves his completion percentage to a much higher degree, 63%, but the explosiveness collapse, 6.7 yards per attempt. And then the picks rise. So just 2 vastly different years, the inconsistencies. I also think he's got to play closer to 230 than closer to 250. That's one of my concerns too, is his weight is something I'm a bit concerned about. But still, to make this list in the top 5 says a lot because this is a hard list to crack. Number 4, this is where you and I have a difference of opinion, and it's both at number 4. Carter Boley is who I've got at number 4, the Arizona State transfer quarterback from Kentucky. And a lot of this, to me, is the credibility of the head coach. This is less about the player and more about the credibility of the head coach. But Kenny Dillingham talked about how he recruited him when he was at Oregon at the quarterback position out of high school. He's got the prototypical build, like 6'4". He's got a cannon for an arm. So to me, he's got a lot of the pieces you're looking for in terms of those, those tangibles, the measurables. A 65% completion percentage last year, nearly 66%. 2,100 yards, not great. 15 touchdowns and 12 picks. Again, not great, but I love the completion percentage was high. And he also added 2 rushing touchdowns. So 17 touchdowns overall, 12 interceptions. Not a huge running threat, but I think it'll be similar to Sam Leavitt in that he's got the ability to use his athleticism to get outside the pocket, but will not be his primary. He also had a huge game against Tennessee last year, 330 passing yards and 5 touchdowns, set a record for freshmen at Kentucky with 5 passing touchdowns in a game against Tennessee. Number 3, this is where I have Alonzo Barnett. So you and I are going to have a very similar 1 and 2, I'll say that. But I thought you had Barnett too low for a guy that played in the college football playoff last year. Now look, his completion percentage was not good enough at 58%, 2,800 yards passing, 23 touchdowns, 8 picks. But it's the rushing numbers that stand out. 15 rushing touchdowns. So 38 touchdowns overall to 8 interceptions. Also added 600 rushing yards. When you look at year over year, he was a lot more effective running the football in 25 than he was in 24. And remember, as you pointed out, he was returning from an ACL tear in 2025. So the fact that his rushing numbers were what they were in coming back from a ACL injury is pretty impressive. He's got to be better in the completion percentage number. Like between 58 and 60% completion percentage over 2 years is not good enough in the Big 12. So I think that's one of those areas that he's got to improve upon. But I have Alonzo Barnett, the UCF transfer from James Madison, number 3. We have the exact same number 2 and number 1, James. I thought you would have had Sorsby number 1. I had Sorsby number 2, Texas Tech transfer from Cincinnati. Look, I think, this will be a great transition for him because I think this is the type of quarterback profile that Texas Tech has needed, and this is the type of offense that he's needed. So it's very mutually beneficial from that standpoint. But, Texas Tech needed a quarterback that can play more off schedule, be more of a red zone rush threat. When you think about the abilities for Tech in the red zone, remember, they struggled in the red zone last year. That was a big issue. Now you've got those 3 running backs to account for and Sorsby in the red zone. That's a really difficult math problem to account for. So I think his skill set fits Tech a lot better. But 27 touchdowns, 5 picks last year, a huge breakthrough considering what it was in 24 when he had 18 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. That's a great improvement. And then I also have number 1, Drew Mestemaker for Oklahoma State, the transfer from North Texas. Like, you think about the passing numbers last year for Oklahoma State overall with Zane Flores being their leading passer and having 3 touchdowns and 4 picks or whatever it was, and, just a scotch over 1,000 yards passing. I mean, this is just such a dramatic upgrade. 69% completion percentage, 4,300 yards. Passing leader in college football, 4,300 yards passing with a 69% completion percentage and a 9.5 yards per attempt. Like that, these are just ridiculous numbers. And he has his same offensive play caller, head coach in position. So that's the reason why I have Drew Mestemaker number 1.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And Sorsby and Mestemaker are going to be all-league caliber guys right away because Sorsby, where was he at his best? In the red zone as a dual-threat quarterback who has the option to take it to the house with his legs. With Mestemaker, my only concern with Drew Mestemaker, and some people have pointed this out, but I just did the numbers, in North Texas's 3 toughest games, which would have been a loss to South Florida, a loss to Tulane, and a win over San Diego State in their bowl game. He had 7 combined touchdowns and 8 combined interceptions. He's a bit of a gunslinger at times. But I think his improvement that he made from his freshman year to his second year in that system, he's only going to be that much better in the same system, albeit at a different school.
Yeah. A few other guys to mention. We just talked with Scott Springer about J.C. French, who's the Cincinnati transfer from Georgia Southern, a 2-year starter, so very experienced as they turn over at the quarterback position. Also, Luke Carney, kind of under the radar for Houston because, Houston seemed to be set at quarterback. They bring in Keyshawn Henderson, who's the 5-star. Plus, you already have a returning starter, but I like Luke Carney a lot, the Syracuse transfer, who's got a lot of upside, and a guy I just think they're going to have a really interesting quarterback room this year at Houston. And then, look, Keyshawn Henderson, got to mention him. Didn't make our list, but certainly a guy to know, a 5-star, top-rated quarterback coming out of high school. And not only that, but now his high school coach, the great Michael Bishop, joins Houston staff as he joins Ryder Lyons. Is not going to be available this year for BYU, but I think that's okay with Bear Bachmeier firmly entrenched as the starter. But he's a 5-star, elite national quarterback. Arizona State added a kid, Jake Fetty, a 4-star from Del Valle High School in the Texas area, blue chip quarterback. I don't know that he's going to be competing with Boley right away, but a guy to keep an eye on. And then Oscar Rios from Downey, California is a 4-star for Arizona. And then another 4-star for UCF. They had a quarterback from Platte County, Missouri, Rocco Marriott. Interesting. It's almost like a combination of Iowa State and BYU.
And he's from the Kansas City area. That's a small town just outside of Kansas City. And he's going to UCF. What a find for them, and an oversight by KU, K-State, and Missouri. The only guy you didn't mention that just missed my list and probably would have been number 6 or 7 is Jaden Craig, the TCU quarterback, the transfer from Harvard. Harvard had not been good at football. I know Harvard is Harvard, and they're usually really strong in the Ivy League in every sport, but football wasn't it for them. He led them to their first ever FCS playoff victory. He's 6'3", 230 pounds. NFL scouts love this kid. He maybe would have been drafted this upcoming draft if he had declared. He had 25 touchdowns and 7 picks last year for Harvard. And remember, TCU new offensive coordinator Gordon Samus, the same formula with Joe Fagnano, who was an FCS All-American type guy at Maine, transferred to UConn, in this past year had like 28 touchdowns and 0 interceptions until the final regular season Saturday in college football. I'm really high on Craig. He's not going to have the flashy numbers that some of these other guys are going to have, like Sorsby or Mestemaker or even Barnett, but I think he's the right guy for that new, completely rebuilt TCU offense.
Yeah, and a few other guys. Chase Jenkins is a guy we talked a little bit about, the Rice transfer for Kansas, who I think fits the Andy Kotelnicki offense. based on the offense he was running at Rice.
Yep.
Very under the radar addition.
He could be their starter this year.
He could very well be their starter. And then how about Michael Hawkins, the Oklahoma quarterback who transfers to West Virginia? West Virginia is the type of team where, like UCF, you want to see them take a huge improvement at the quarterback position. It feels like Hawkins is the guy that will lead Rich Rod's offense, and I think there's a lot of optimism for me. For me, he was just outside that top 5 list.
Great drop with Hawkins. Totally missed him. I would have had him probably just outside my top 5 as well, because he will be the starter at West Virginia. No disrespect to Scotty Fox, who was fantastic last year as a freshman, but Michael Hawkins gives them athleticism at that position that they haven't had since Pat White. Like, the dude is incredibly dynamic. And West Virginia and UCF are 2 teams I have on my radar as being this year's Arizona and Houston. Year 2 for those coaches. Nice portal haul, not a ton of turnover, almost a addition by subtraction type situation. I think both of those programs are making bowl games.
Yeah, and Hawkins is a guy, I think, that fits this offense way better than the offense he was in at Oklahoma.
Yes.
And remember, he's a former 4-star recruit, Elite 11 guy, top 100 overall. So, I mean, a guy that certainly could have made our top 5 lists for the Big 12 at quarterback additions. There were just a lot. I mean, there were a lot of quarterback additions in this conference because you got Josh Hoover going to Indiana, you've got Sam Levitt going to LSU. You had outgoing Brendan Sorsby leaving Cincinnati. So there's just a lot of movement amongst the quarterback position in the Big 12 this year.
Yeah, in terms of fit for Michael Hawkins, this is Caleb Williams going from Oklahoma to USC. Different type of quarterbacks, but once he got in a system that utilized his skill set, he was incredible. And that could be Hawkins. I'm not saying he's going to win the Heisman, but he's very much in a better place for what he does.
Wow, apparently there's a difference between Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma and Lincoln Riley at USC. And I think James just said it. Just pencil Michael Hawkins in for the Heisman Trophy, the number 1 overall pick. That's James Wesley. I'm Ari Tebkin, Big 12 Today, Big 12 Radio. Our quarterback expert and our Monday morning quarterback, Taylor McHarg, joins us to talk quarterback position of the Big 12 next. This is Big 12 Today, Big 12 Radio, presented by Modelo, where there is no off-season. Remember, there's no off-season. Modelo fan rule number 31, it's just research. Taylor McHarg is next. It's Big 12 Today, Big 12 Radio, presented by Modelo, heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios.